Today we're going to do a service on a Toro Dingo tx420. This is almost a very similar service to a tx425. If you have a 427, it's a little bit different. These either a 20 horsepower Kohler or a 25 horsepower Kohler, depending if you got a tx420 or tx425. So the first thing we're going to do is start the engine up and then get the arms up in the air and then drop that red safety arm down so nobody gets hurt. You can come over here to your air filter after you pop the hood right there. And you want to pop this cap off right here, this air filter housing. Underneath that, you're going to find your air filter. And there's usually a bolt, a nut that holds the air filter onto the assembly. Go ahead and take that off and then remove your air filter. And you're going to put your new air filter on exactly how you took your old air filter off. You're going to reuse this housing when you put it back on. And remember, when you're doing your air filter, to make sure that you got the right air filter and not the incorrect one, is that when this new air filter is back on, make sure that there's a complete seal at the bottom and a complete seal here on the top where my finger is. If you use too small of an air filter, there'll be a gap. Usually it's at the bottom. In that gap, if you get a bunch of dirty air in there, it'll bypass your air filter and go straight into your engine, and you're looking at big problems. So that's the easy part, is just change your air filter out. Put the new one in, put your cap on, lock it down with your nut, and then put your top housing back on. Your air filter's done. Then coming over to change your engine oil. Your engine drain plug is down here on the operating machine on the left side. There's a bolt that sticks down here outside of your track. Here's what the bolt looks like. Right there, it's 11/16 bolt. Go ahead and remove that, and that is that's the oil drain for your engine. So as you see, I'm already starting to drain the oil. When that's all done draining, go ahead and put your plug back in, and you're ready to refill it with your new oil. Your oil filter's here, so go ahead and take off your old filter after your engine is drained from your old oil. And for the new filters, what I do is I'll fill my new filter up right here with oil first. And then you take a little bit of oil and you rub it on this O-ring on the outside, and then you lock it down on your engine. This particular engine uses a 2.1 quarts of 10W30 gasoline engine oil. Do yourself a favor and probably fill it up when you're filling it with new oil. Fill it up with 1.5 quarts first, and then check your dipstick and then fill up accordingly. Your oil fill cap is here. Usually it's yellow, but this one's black for whatever reason. So I'm gonna unscrew that, and that's where you put your new engine oil in. I usually use a funnel to make life easier. And your oil dipstick check is on the other side. Just pull it out, and there's an F there's an F and an L. F means full, L means low. So you want it towards pretty much on the top of the F line if you're changing with new oil. So that means your oil is done, your air filter is done. Then come on over, and you have one fuel filter on this machine. This little fuel filter right here. Go ahead and, I've already changed it, but take your old one off. All you have to do is take this clamp off to this clamp off, remove both the hoses. And then when you put your new filter on, just make sure that the arrow is pointing in the direction the fuel is going to travel. So as of right now, it's coming from the fuel tank to your engine, so therefore your arrow is pointed up. Next, we'll just do spark plugs. So remove your ignition module coil right there, and your spark plug is here, and then one directly on the other side. Just go ahead and remove those. Install your new spark plugs. Mine are already pre-gapped, so I forget what the gap is, but if you buy the right ones, they're pre-gapped. So and we have a hydraulic filter. So the hydraulic filter has been moved from year to year, depending on what year you have. Older models, hydraulic filters are right here. As you can see, this red hydraulic filter right here. So it is kind of tight, so what I use is just an oil wrench to get it off, and it will come up in this little cavity right here. So remove it and then put your new one on. When I put my new hydraulic filter on, I usually don't fill it up with hydraulic fluid, but there is a black O-ring on the top. I usually put oil on that before I tighten the new filter on. So we have those. And then you want to check your hydraulic fluid level. Now if you look right down here, little cap down there. See that black cap? So go ahead and remove that black cap, twist it off, and underneath that black cap, which I'm trying to do right now, is a fill stick. Or your dipstick. So pull your dipstick out and it'll show some kind of level on your, there you go, shows some kind of level, your oil level. You see those hash marks right there? Your hydraulic oil level should be anywhere in between those hash marks. Put too much hydraulic fluid in up here, it'll start to blow out your relief valve. You put too little hydraulic fluid in your machine, you risk damaging your hydraulic motors and pumps, and they're pretty expensive. So if you need to add hydraulic fluid, you add it in that same port right there that you just pulled the dipstick out of. And keep in mind, when you put this cap on, this black cap, it's very easy to cross thread this thing if you don't put it on perfect, pretty flat. And if you cross thread it, it'll eat up the threads on the black plastic cap and you won't be able to put it on all the way. Then you'll have to order a new cap. Keep in mind that it also, this machine used to use diesel engine oil. It does not use diesel engine oil anymore for the hydraulic fluid due to EPA changing what could be installed in diesel engine oil, I think in year 2011 or 2012, something like that. So we use AW6 hydraulic oil. You can also buy Toro brand hydraulic oil from your local vendor, and that should do the trick. There's about 12 gallons of hydraulic fluid in this machine, so if you're low and you can't even read it on your dipstick, you might be in for putting a lot of gallons back in. So what did we do? We did oil, fuel, spark plugs, hydraulic filter, air filter. Then we're going to come back with grease. So there's 12 grease points on these machines. There's one here on the quick attach plate, one on the opposite side. On your turning pins on your quick attach plate, there's one here, and then there's one on the other side. Underneath your arms, where it connects to your lift hydraulic cylinder, there's one here, there's one on the other side. On your tilt cylinder, there's two. One right here, and then one on the top of the tilt cylinder up here, whatever you can see. And then there's two more, and those two more are easily accessed when these loader arms are down. So if you drop the arms down right here, and that little hole right there on the black arms, there's a grease fitting in there. And then underneath here, if you were to, when you put your arms down, if you push these hydraulic lines up out of the way and then look behind here on top of your hydraulic cylinder, there's a grease fitting there and a grease fitting, of course, on the other side, the exact same place that we just did it. And that is how you service a tx420 and tx425.